To set up a limited company in the UK, Companies House will need you to notify them on the directors, shareholders and people of significant control in the business. We're talking about the key players of the business, the head honchos that ensure everything is running smoothly. But if you haven't already decided who these are yet, how do you decide who's best for these job roles? And how do all of these job roles vary from one another? Well, in today's video, we aim to answer this and more as we go through all the responsibilities of the key players in your limited company. Just like all the other videos in this series, we're only going to be explaining the job roles in a company limited by shares, which is why we'll be focusing on shareholders instead of talking about guarantors. So let's start off by explaining what the directors and shareholders do. All limited companies are required to have at least one director and one shareholder, with the director managing the company and the shareholder owning it. What I mean by this is the director will be in charge of overseeing the business, ensuring the company's strategic objectives and plans are being maintained. The director will execute all creative decisions for the company and therefore should be the person who's most suited to taking control of the vision of the business. So if you came here thinking that this was your shot to become the next Spielberg, you may need to refine your YouTube searches. The good news is, if there is more than one person applicable to become director, you don't need to go all battle royale and make them fight to the death, because you're able to appoint multiple people in the role. There's no cap to the number of directors a business can have, so feel free to channel your inner Oprah and give everyone that big promotion. The shareholder, on the other hand, is the person investing money into the business and in return taking a profit out of the business, limited to the amount of shares that they own. Limited by shares, a company limited by shares. Do you see what's going on there? A shareholder doesn't even have to be a person. It can be another company, organisation or a partnership. Though a shareholder owns the business, they typically have no input in how the company is run. That's a job reserved for the director. They do, however, have the power to vote in any big decisions regarding the business. The control the shareholder has is determined by how many shares they own, with whoever owns the most shares being the major shareholder and having the most control in the business. It's best to think of it like the seats in the Houses of Parliament. Whichever party has the most seats has the most control when it comes to voting. So likewise, whoever has the most shares has the bigger vote in business decisions, and therefore, to have overriding control, a shareholder would need to have over 50% of the shares. But in turn, they would also be putting in over half of the investment for the company. So remember how I said that all limited companies need to have at least one director and one shareholder? Well, if that's caused you to panic because you're about to set up your limited company on your own, then please let me put your mind at ease, because a director can also be a shareholder. By putting yourself down as the only director and shareholder, you'll both manage the business and own 100% of the shares. This is a technique that you could use if you're planning to set up a limited company, but you don't actually have any other people on board yet. In fact, having a sole director and shareholder can make the application process for your business bank account much easier. And then once your limited company is incorporated and its business bank account's ready, you're free to appoint new directors and source more shareholders throughout the life of your business to your heart's content. Alongside the directors and shareholders, Companies House will also ask you to provide information for any other people with significant control in your business. This will primarily be people who own over 25% of the shares, because they own a reasonable amount of the voting rights in the business. Other people this applies to are people who hold the power to remove the majority of the board of directors, or who have significant influence in any other way on the company's decision making. Deciding who should play what role in your company can be a tough decision, but it will ultimately come down to who you think best fits the roles you're looking to fill. You'll want to find like-minded people who have an enthusiasm for the business and have a strategic mindset that will benefit the growth of your business over the years. Once you've worked out who all of these key players are, you'll need to provide Companies House with their personal information, the date they became involved with the company, and the powers they'll have within the company. This allows Companies House to have all the resources they require to ensure that your limited company is set up correctly and able to run smoothly. All of this information is then made accessible online, so anybody's able to view this and see who's in the company and the roles that they play. After you've provided Companies House with this information, you can put a big tick in another box, as you're now truly on your way to incorporating your limited company. If you're going through the process, how have you been finding it? Have you got any advice for anybody else who may be considering incorporation? If so, then please drop a comment below and let's start that discussion. Thank you all for watching today's video, and we'll see you in the next one.